We're gonna be talking about High School of the Dead with people on Omegle today. We're gonna set this down. Anyways, so after joining a cult and my family disowning me due to embarrassment, my skirt just snapped. I decided it was time to reach out to different people. I felt the zipper just snap a bit when I breathed. Oops. I figured I could discuss these shows with like-minded individuals, really bring about like thoughtful conversations over art with, you know, other philosophers. Anyways, let's get started. What's up? Aw, come on. Does no one want to talk? No one wants to... Hello? Yeah, I got skipped like 4 times in a row. It should be fine. We're fine. This is going about as well as I expected it to go. Yo, what up?
High School of the Dead was a manga written by Daisuke Sato and illustrated by Shoji Sato. These two are not related. The manga was serialized between 2006 to 2013, with the anime adaptation coming out during the summer of 2010 and a single OVA releasing that following year. Also, there was a single light novel titled High School of the Dead: The Last Day, which was released kind of as a one-off in 2011. The anime was produced by Madhouse, and holy shit, normally when I get to this section, I give a couple of other works they've made just in case someone has heard of it, but usually they're smaller studios who haven't worked on larger projects. Most people would know. But chances are, if you watch anime, you've probably heard of Madhouse, and if you haven't, you've definitely heard some of the stuff they've worked on. One Punch Man, Death Note, No Game No Life, Overlord, Hunter x Hunter, Black Lagoon, The Red Line Movie, Paprika, Hellsing Ultimate, Ichigo 100%, Gunslinger Girl, Chobits, The Afro Samurai Pilot, Hajime no Ippo, Cardcaptor Sakura, the Stitch anime? I'm not even joking, that's a real thing. Basically, they're very established and well respected as they consistently put out amazing work.
Side note, I haven't seen Redline yet, but I really want to because the animation alone sold me on the entire movie. That and the fucking pompadour. Another side note, I couldn't find a way to like seamlessly put this into the script. I just thought it was funny. In 2011, the dubs for these episodes were made available on both iTunes as well as the Microsoft Zune store, if you know what the fuck Zune is. So at one point, you could literally go download Fruit Ninja and then immediately download full episodes of High School of the Dead, just back to back. I don't know, that's funny to me.
So, with it being by a major studio and doing relatively well based on manga sales, I mean, it peaked number 2 on the Oricon charts in Japan and number 4 on the New York Times bestseller list in 2011, it seemed like High School of the Dead was primed to be a major hit with an audience eagerly consuming as much as they could globally. In 2011, anime in the West was definitely around, but nowhere near the level that it's at now in terms of mainstream appeal and acceptance. However, all of these highs aren't the entire story.
This show is incredibly polarizing. For all the highs it reached, there were equal lows. For example, in 2011 at the San Diego Comic-Con, it was listed as one of the worst mangas of 2011. That same year, it also peaked on the New York Times best-selling manga as well as the Japanese Oricon charts. So, people are fucking dumb, I guess.
Even on the Anime News Network, you'd have different opinions between authors. Carlos Santos from the site said, other recent zombie works in Western entertainment have tried to play it ironic or postmodernist or just plain silly, but this one goes for straight up horror and pulls it off admirably. Yeah, Zach Birchie, also on the same site, said it could have just been easily written by a script generator or a horror fan with 19 minutes to kill. People either love this show or they fucking hate it. And to me, that's awesome. It's a memorable show, not one you just watch and forget about quickly like Infinite Stratos or Blood Sea. You either remember it for the absurdity of the art style and animation, or you remember it for all the plot holes and Deus Ex Machinas like the High School of the Dead subreddit. I gotta give them credit. I asked them for their opinions and they were pretty critical of the writing overall, which I understand since they probably like the show, and if you enjoy something, be tough on it. Not out of hate, but out of love or frustration. You'd want something to be the best version of itself, and when you see that that isn't happening, you should voice those complaints as it helps to keep the standard that's been set to a higher level rather than letting something slip in its quality out of complacency. Look, the writing isn't the strongest, not to say Daisuke isn't a competent writer. I mean, he's a fairly successful author working on numerous other manga, novels, he was a board game designer as well, and he even worked on a teaser video for a One Piece special, but the dialogue at times is just okay, and then the actual story beats and plot points are so out of nowhere at times. It ping-pongs from decent lines between characters to introducing an entire character to act as plot armor for the rest of the cast.
What's up? How's it going?
Good. Oh my god, you slay. You definitely slay.
Thank you. Nice.
Bro, nice outfit.
Thanks. Nice jawbones.
I'm so hard right now. You are pushing me past my limits.
I'm done. Yo, what up? For the video, I had to wear this outfit, which, by the way, you have yet to say anything nice about my outfit.
I like your outfit.
Thank you. I was about to say, like, I get all dressed up for this shit. Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah.
Exactly, because it's funny.
What's up? Okay.
Characters are decent here, in my opinion. They're all very distinct, but that doesn't mean that they're all good. We'll start with the weakest character, Rei Miyamoto, the main romantic interest initially, as well as the cover girl for the first volume of the manga. Literally, she exists for no other reason than drama between the main character and herself because her boyfriend died. Even past the anime and the manga, she just constantly is getting jealous. Like, that's all she does. She can be useful in combat because she was in a spear club, but overall, she's more useless than the nurse whose whole personality is airheaded with big tits, but at least she has general knowledge. And her best friend is one of the top 5 snipers in the Japanese police who happens to own numerous weapons with illegal modifications, multiple boxes of ammo, and an armored Humvee that has EMP protection.
Remember when I said people were critical of the writing?
The only one who has a right to be useless is Alice, who's a child that watched her father get killed in front of her, but even then, she proves to be useful because she's basically a professional BMX rider and can help cause distractions. As for other characters, Takagi is the very egotistical brainiac who's a complete tsundere and a bit of a masochist.
Like, do I even need to say who my vote for best girl is at this point?
The main character, Komuro, who has some development, going from a somewhat cowardly guy trying to understand what's happening to a somewhat competent leader able to make tough decisions, like abandoning a group of people they barely know to ensure the survival of the core group. Kota is the larger, quiet kid in class that gets bullied but has an obsession with guns.
I'm not gonna say it. You know what I'm thinking, I'm not gonna say it.
Saiko Busujima, who's the last main character and definitely becomes the most iconic within the series for a number of reasons. From her character writing and philosophy to her mental deterioration, then there's her character design, which is pretty solid, but then you get the numerous outfits that have become synonymous with the series, even though one of the outfits is just a naked apron. Now we can segue into the animation using Busujima and using the most legendary scene from the entire show. Episode 8, 15 minutes, 7 seconds.
Hey, yo.
First of all, why they had to take me under her panty? Okay, I could have known she dodged the bullet. I didn't have to be under her panty. Number 2, she seemed cool. Like, she seemed real badass.
Yeah, the animation's fucking wild.
And I love it.
Clearly, it's very action-focused and even more fan service focused, but unlike Trinity 7, it heavily leans into it. It knows it's ridiculous, and it practically says,
okay, but what if even more?
The quieter moments are strong, and there's a clear separation between the heavy action sequences and then the slower-paced introspective moments where characters are trying to come to terms with the state of the world as well as coping with their own actions. It presents the worst of people in the most beautiful of way at times. And then there's the 10-minute bathroom scene where all the girls are just taking a shower. Like, it's 10 fucking minutes. Like, look at these character designs.
So my first thought after seeing these characters was like, okay, yeah, he probably draws porn. I was right.
Shoji Sato also creates doujinshi under the pen name Inazuma and has managed to create an entire group dedicated to drawing doujin called Digital Excel Works. He's also currently working on another series titled Triage X, so if you enjoy both his art style and the tone of High School to Death, then Triage X is just a lot more of the same stuff, which isn't surprising because it was partially developed by his editor who also worked on High School to Death and got Triage X published in the same magazine, Dragon Age. Not that one. Also, due to the pretty extreme lewdness of certain scenes, the show is actually banned in China.
I mean, what doesn't get banned in China?
During a wave of censorship regarding websites with extremely violent content, High School to Death was singled out for not the violence, but for being, quote, borderline pornographic.
Nah.
Like, yeah, this show's horny, but it's not that horny. Sometimes. Also, did you know that the game Lollipop Chainsaw had an unlockable costume that was just the school uniform from this anime? Neat. My only issue with the animation personally would be the CG used for the zombies and vehicles, but with how many zombies there were on screen, it makes sense. Like, no one's gonna animate 40 individual zombies, but it's sparing and it doesn't take you out of the moment. The music's pretty decent, with my biggest praise being the lack of music in some scenes, which makes them feel so much more powerful in my opinion, and then literally every single episode, as well as the OVA, received a separate ending track for the credits, all sung by the same vocalist, Maon Kurosaki. The opening track is a perfect opening, and I'm realizing as I watch anime more critically that I'm a bigger fan of rock music for intros than the more poppy tracks. Like, normally I listen to more rock and EDM anyways.
I mean, look at me. Clearly I work at Hot Topic, right? I was planning on doing this bit in normal clothes when I wrote the script, and I changed costume ideas after writing the script, so this is going to be very weird.
Also, just another annoyance. So normally in anime, you hit the ending track with the credits, and the post-credits are usually just a preview of the upcoming episode, but here, every episode has even more story after the credits, usually only another minute or so, but why? Did you need to force everyone to sit through the credits so they'd be able to get the rest of the story? That way next week when the next episode comes out, they're not lost? Like, it doesn't feel like a Marvel in-credit scene that's cute, and it instead feels like you're still being held in the classroom after the bell rang, and your teacher's just saying, "The bell does not dismiss you. I do." Like, I understand wanting people to be aware of the production team because it is a lot of work, but instead of being proud of them, now I'm loathing them by proxy of having to skip past the credits just to see an extra minute of dialogue that may or may not heavily impact the pacing and the plot of the story. Moving along to the sound design, it is pretty fucking solid. Like, yeah. Yeah, that sounds like a gun. That's all I gotta say. The sound design is fine. Nothing to really note except, like,
I just wonder what it sounds like in the sound booth. Like, so when they're doing the recordings for the zombies, like, what's the voice direction? Do you have, like, the guy just, and then the director is just like, could you sound more dead?
Also, this sound gets used twice randomly, and I hate how much it made me laugh. I'm not gonna explain too much of the plot because honestly, it's pretty short and fairly straightforward since it's just a zombie show. People living their lives, zombies just appear. By the way, they're supernatural zombies, so people that just turned into zombies initially without a virus and then spread via standard zombie fashion. Daisuke clarified this in an interview that there is no virus and heavily based the zombies off of the George A. Romero zombie which appeared in the iconic film Dawn of the Dead. Zombies appeared and all we received as an audience was an abstract reason for their existence, which was simply hell ran out of room.
In fact, it's so incredibly inspired by the Romero film that at later volumes in the manga, it doesn't show it in the anime, but in the manga, they end up at a fucking mall and then hit many of the same exact plot points as Dawn of the Dead.
So the cast do their best to survive, eventually meeting up and escaping the school together, moving from place to place, gathering supplies, and enjoying what luxuries they can before that safe haven gets swarmed by them, and then repeat that a handful more times, and you have the entirety of the anime. Eventually, we learn that everyone is being evacuated, and the rendezvous is at a nearby elementary school where we hope to find two of the main characters' parents. You wanna see one of the highest quality anime slaps? I had to pause after that scene because I was laughing too fucking hard. I don't know how I managed to forget that that scene existed, but watching it now, it fucking kills me. It's so good. That's the entire story. Unfortunately, the series is unfinished and it's unlikely it ever will be. In 2008, Daisuke began to have health complications, which put the series on hiatus from 2008 to 2010. He did manage to write one more chapter, which was released in 2013. However, on March 22nd, 2017, Daisuke Sato passed away due to coronary artery disease. This would mark both the end of the publication as well as the death of the series. Shoji Sato would speak briefly about the series in interviews, and when asked about a possible continuation, made it a note that although he was aware of people wanting more, he was only an illustrator and the story was handled solely by Daisuke and there was no transcript. Neither he nor the editor had any idea of Daisuke's plan for the series and therefore decided it was best to leave it alone instead of possibly tainting what he had planned.
kind of another tangent, but I get very similar feels to this as I do with the Berserk manga. Miura passed away before he was able to finish his magnum opus, and it's not until within the past couple months that we learned his childhood friend, Koji Mori, would be continuing it. Koji knew Miura for 30 years. They were childhood friends, they went to art school together, and he knows what he had planned for the rest of the story. Even with all those qualifications, a lot of people were really skeptical of whether or not he would still be able to do a good job. So even after all of those qualifications, people are still skeptical. It's weird to me that everyone wants Shoji to complete High School of the Dead when he has no idea what Daisuke had planned, and they didn't work together that much. It's just weird.
It was a somewhat persistent theme within High School of the Dead and comes up in other zombie works as well, that you don't know what day will be your last. At any point, some freak accident could occur, and so all you can do is push forward because at any moment, it could be cut short. It's also a self-fulfilling prophecy whether Daisuke intended it or not. I'm not gonna act philosophical or self-righteous, but it is something to consider. So while we don't really know what tomorrow will hold, all we can do is our best right now. So go without regrets. But yeah, that's it.